The divorce papers hit the marble table with a sharp slap, scattering water droplets from the vase of white roses Zara had arranged that morning. She stared at the documents, her hands frozen mid-motion as she'd been reaching for the salad bowl. Around the dining table, Marcus's family continued eating as if nothing had happened. His mother didn't even look up from her plate. "Sign it," Marcus said, his voice flat and businesslike, the same voice he used with his assistant. Zara's throat tightened as she looked at the man she'd spent 5 years loving, sacrificing for, building up from nothing. His jaw was set, his eyes cold. This wasn't the man who'd whispered promises in the dark. This was a stranger wearing his face. "Marcus, what is this?" Her voice came out smaller than she intended. She hated how weak she sounded, but shock had stolen her strength. "What does it look like?" His sister Christina smirked from across the table, twirling her wine glass. "You're being upgraded, replaced, dismissed." Zara's eyes burned, but she refused to cry. Not here. Not in front of them. She'd cried enough in this house over the past 5 years, in bathrooms, in closets, into pillows at night while Marcus snored beside her, oblivious to her pain. She looked at her mother-in-law, the woman she'd tried so desperately to please. Mrs. Chen was cutting her steak with precise, delicate movements, as if this was just another Tuesday dinner. "Did you know about this?" Zara asked her. Mrs. Chen finally looked up, her expression as warm as ice. "Know about it? Darling, I suggested it. You've served your purpose. Marcus needed stability while he built the company. Now he needs someone more suitable." The word dripped with venom. "Someone who understands our culture, our standards." 5 years of biting her tongue. 5 years of pretending she didn't hear the whispers at family gatherings. 5 years of straightening her natural curls because Mrs. Chen once said they looked unkempt. 5 years of making herself smaller, quieter, less black so they would accept her. And this was her reward. "I gave up everything for you," Zara said, her voice steady now cold. She looked directly at Marcus. "My job, my name, my family, everything." Marcus leaned back in his chair, fingers drumming on the table. "And you'll be compensated. Sign the papers, Zara. Don't make this difficult." "Compensated?" She almost laughed. The sound died in her throat when she saw the second set of documents Marcus slid across the table. Her hands trembled as she picked them up. Corporate fraud, embezzlement, tax evasion, all with her forged signature. "What is this?" But even as she asked, she understood. The late nights Marcus spent at the office suddenly made sense. The files he'd asked her to sign without reading. "I trust you, babe," he'd said, kissing her forehead. "Just some boring corporate stuff." She'd signed them all because she loved him, because she believed in him. "Insurance," Marcus said simply. "You sign the divorce papers and agree to take responsibility for certain financial irregularities in the company, or these documents go to the SEC. You go to prison for 10 to 15 years. He paused, letting that sink in. "Or you can be smart. Sign both. Take the deal. Walk away with $1 million and your freedom." The room spun. Zara gripped the edge of the table. "You're framing me." "I'm offering you a choice," Marcus corrected. "Prison or a fresh start. Most people don't get that courtesy." $1 million. Zara's voice was hollow. She was doing the math in her head, remembering the trust fund she'd walked away from, the inheritance she'd rejected, the family name she'd abandoned because she wanted to prove that love mattered more than money. Her family's doormat, an actual doormat made of custom Italian marble with her family crest, cost more than what Marcus was offering her. "It's generous, considering," Mrs. Chen added, finally setting down her silverware. "You brought nothing to this marriage. No connections, no breeding, no culture. Just that job you quit and that ridiculous pride. 1 million is more than fair." Zara looked at each of them. Marcus's face remained impassive. Christina was smiling. Mr. Chen, who'd barely spoken to her in 5 years, was absorbed in his phone. And Mrs. Chen looked almost bored, as if they were discussing the weather rather than destroying her life. The doorbell rang. Marcus stood immediately, too quickly. He'd been expecting someone. Zara watched him walk to the door, heard the click of heels on marble, and felt her heart stop when she saw who walked in. Bianca Morrison, Marcus's ex-girlfriend, the woman Zara had befriended at Marcus's insistence. "She's in my past," he'd said. "It would mean a lot if you two could get along." So Zara had swallowed her pride, her jealousy, her instincts. She'd invited Bianca to dinners, to birthday parties, had listened to her relationship problems, had been her shoulder to cry on. And now Bianca walked into the dining room wearing a diamond ring that caught the light like a small sun. "Sorry I'm late, darling," Bianca said, kissing Marcus's cheek before sliding into the seat beside him, the seat that had been Zara's for 5 years. She looked at Zara with something like pity. "Oh, you haven't signed yet. Marcus, you said this would be quick." Zara's world tilted. "How long?" "How long what?" Bianca examined her nails, playing innocent. "How long have you been sleeping with my husband?" Bianca glanced at Marcus, who nodded permission. "About 4 years. We got back together 6 months after your wedding. Honestly, it was sweet that you thought those business trips to Singapore were real. He was with me in my apartment in our bed." She leaned forward conspiratorially. "Did you really think he loved you? Zara, sweetheart, you were the help. You cooked, you cleaned, you played perfect housewife while he built his empire. Now the empire is built. He doesn't need you anymore." Something inside Zara shattered, but her face remained perfectly still. She'd learned that from them, how to hide everything behind a mask. "I see." "So sign the papers," Marcus said. "I've got a 7 a.m. flight to announce our engagement. The PR team is waiting." Zara picked up the pen. Her hand was steady now. 5 years of love reduced to signatures on legal documents. 5 years of sacrifice worth exactly $1 million. She thought about her father's last words before she'd left. "When you're ready to come home, we'll be waiting." She'd been too proud then, too determined to prove she could make it on her own, too convinced that Marcus Chen was different from the men her father warned her about. She signed both documents with fluid, practiced strokes. The handwriting looked nothing like her usual signature. It was the one she'd abandoned 5 years ago, the one that belonged to someone else, someone who no longer existed. "Smart girl," Mrs. Chen said, standing. "Christina, help her pack. I want her out tonight." "That won't be necessary," Zara said quietly, setting down the pen. She stood, smoothing her simple cotton dress, so different from the designer clothes she used to wear. "I can show myself out." "The money will be wired tomorrow," Marcus said, already pulling out his phone. "My lawyer will be in touch about testimony schedules. Remember, you cooperate fully or the deal is off." Zara walked to the door without looking back. Behind her she heard Bianca's laugh, crystalline and victorious. She heard Mrs. Chen telling the maid to box up her things and donate them. She heard Marcus on the phone. "Yes," she signed. "No problems, we're clear." Outside, the night air was cool against her skin. Zara stood on the steps of the mansion she'd called home, the mansion she'd cleaned and decorated and filled with love, and finally let herself feel it. The betrayal, the humiliation, the rage. It crashed over her like a wave, threatening to drown her. She pulled out her phone. The contact she hadn't called in 5 years was still there. Dad. Her finger hovered over the number. Pride warred with desperation. She'd left so decisively, so certain she was making the right choice. How could she crawl back now? How could she admit she'd been so catastrophically wrong? But then she remembered Marcus's face, Bianca's ring, Mrs. Chen's contempt, $1 million for 5 years of her life. She pressed dial. "Zara," her father's voice was instantly alert despite the late hour. "Is everything all right?" "Dad," she whispered, and her voice finally broke. "I need to come home." The silence on the other end lasted 3 heartbeats. Then, "I'm sending the jet. Where are you?" "The Chen estate, but Dad, she swallowed hard. "I signed some papers. There's going to be legal trouble they framed me for." "Stop," her father's voice was steel. "Don't say another word over the phone. The plane will be there in 40 minutes. Your brother is coming with it. Xavier will know what to do." Dad, they have documents with my signature. Zara Michelle Monroe. The use of her full name, her real name, made her spine straighten. Do you trust me? Yes. Then get in the car when it arrives and come home. Let me handle the rest. The line went dead. Zara stood there, phone pressed to her ear, and for the first time in 5 years she felt something other than sadness. She felt a spark of something dangerous, something she'd suppressed for too long. The black SUV arrived exactly 40 minutes later. Xavier Monroe stepped out, tall and imposing in his tailored suit despite the late hour. Her older brother, her protector, the one who'd begged her not to marry Marcus Chen. Rai, he said softly, using her childhood nickname. His face was carefully neutral, but his eyes blazed with fury. Let's go home. Xavier, I'm so sorry. Later, he opened the door for her. Right now, we have work to do. As the car pulled away from the Chen estate, Zara looked back one final time. Through the dining room window, she could see them celebrating. Marcus had his arm around Bianca. Mrs. Chen was pouring champagne. They thought they'd won. Xavier, Zara said quietly, watching the mansion disappear behind them. How much is our family worth now? Her brother glanced at her, recognition dawning in his eyes. The Monroe Group, including all subsidiaries, assets, and holdings, he smiled slowly. About 47 billion, give or take. And the doormat in the foyer at Dad's house. The custom Calicata marble one with the family crest. Mom commissioned it from that Italian artist. Cost about 1.2 million. Zara leaned back against the leather seat and laughed. It was a broken sound at first, edged with hysteria, but it slowly transformed into something colder, sharper. He sold me for less than a doormat. He did, Xavier confirmed, but that's his last mistake. I want them destroyed, Zara said, and the words felt like poison and medicine all at once. All of them. I want to take everything. Then that's exactly what we'll do. Xavier pulled out a tablet, his fingers flying across the screen. I've already started. The preliminary investigation into Chen Technologies began the moment Dad's plane took off. We've got forensic accountants pulling apart every transaction from the last 5 years. He paused. The fraud is real, Rai, but the money didn't go where they think it did. Zara turned to look at her brother. What do you mean? Chen Technologies has been hemorrhaging money for 3 years. Marcus's genius business model is actually just embezzlement, money laundering, and fraud. He's been cooking the books, using shell companies, falsifying investor reports, everything. Xavier's smile was predatory. And every single document you signed, we have the originals, the real ones. We know they're forgeries. How? Because Dad never stopped watching. He had a detail on you from day one. The investigator photographed every document you actually signed. We have proof the signatures on the fraud papers aren't yours. Xavier pulled up a comparison on his screen. They're good forgeries, professional, but they're not perfect. Zara's mind was racing. So when Marcus tries to frame me, we can prove it's fabricated, but here's the beautiful part. Xavier leaned closer. We're not going to reveal that immediately. We're going to let him think it worked. Let him get comfortable. Let him announce his engagement, restructure his company, celebrate his freedom. And then, he snapped his fingers. We take it all. The plane was waiting at a private airfield. Zara had forgotten what luxury felt like, real luxury, not the performative wealth of the Chen family. The Monroe jet was understated elegance, all cream leather and warm lighting. Her father sat in the back, his salt and pepper hair immaculate despite the hour. James Monroe, media mogul, real estate empire, tech investments that had turned millions into billions. And she was his daughter, his heir. Daddy, she whispered, and suddenly she was 7 years old again, running to him after a nightmare. He stood, arms opening, and she collapsed into them. My girl, he murmured against her hair. My baby girl, I'm so sorry, I should have stopped you, I should have. No, Zara pulled back, wiping her eyes. I needed to learn this lesson. I needed to understand that love without respect is nothing. That sacrifice without reciprocity is just slavery. She sat down across from him, straightening her spine. I gave up everything to be small enough for him to love. I made myself nothing so he could be everything. Never again. Never again, her father echoed. Now tell me exactly what happened, every detail, leave nothing out. Zara talked for an hour. She told them about the years of microaggressions. Mrs. Chen's comments about her hair, her skin, her lack of breeding. Christina's casual cruelties. Marcus's gradual emotional withdrawal. The loneliness of being in a house full of people who looked at her like she was the help. The discovery of Bianca. The divorce papers. The frame job. The $1 million. When she finished, Xavier was typing furiously on his laptop. Her father's face was carved from stone, but his hands trembled slightly as he gripped his glass of whiskey. 1 million, James Monroe said finally. He valued you at $1 million. Less than your doormat, Zara said with a bitter smile. I did the math. Her father's laugh was cold. Then I think it's time we remind certain people who you really are. Xavier, what do we have? Chen Technologies is underwater. They're about to lose their biggest client, Nexus Corporation, because of failure to deliver on contract specifications. That alone will crater their stock price. Their secondary investor, Kingston Holdings, is actually one of our shell companies. We can pull funding whenever we want. Xavier pulled up financial charts. Marcus is leveraged to his eyeballs. He took out personal loans using the company as collateral. If Chen Tech collapses, he loses everything. The house, the cars, his reputation, everything. And his family, Zara asked quietly. Mrs. Chen's social standing comes from her charity board positions. 3 of the 5 major boards are Monroe-funded foundations. Christina's boutique PR firm. Her biggest clients all have contracts with Monroe media subsidiaries. Xavier's smile was shark-like. The Chen family lives in our ecosystem. They just don't know it yet. What about Bianca? Zara hated that her voice still shook saying that name. Her father raised an eyebrow. The influencer, the one whose entire career is based on Monroe-owned brand sponsorships, that Bianca Morrison. Zara's breath caught. What? Luxe Cosmetics, Bella Fashion, Prestige Lifestyle Magazine, all Monroe subsidiaries. Every sponsored post she makes, every appearance fee, every brand deal runs through our companies. Her father's expression was cold satisfaction. She makes about $800,000 a year, all of it from us. The pieces were falling into place. The Chen family didn't just underestimate her. They'd waged war on a woman whose family owned the battlefield. So what's the plan? Zara asked. We let Marcus make his announcement, Xavier said. Let him parade Bianca around as his new fiancée. Let the business press celebrate his amicable divorce and his company's upcoming merger with Nexus Corporation. Let him think he won. He pulled up a calendar. In exactly 2 weeks, there's a charity gala. The Chen family will be there. Marcus will be there. Every major business figure in the city will be there. And, Zara prompted. Xavier's smile was vicious. And you'll be there too, not as Zara Chen, the discarded housewife, as Zara Monroe, heiress to the Monroe fortune, the daughter everyone's been asking about for 5 years, the mystery woman who walked away from billions. He leaned back. I've already arranged for your introduction. The moment you walk into that ballroom, everything changes. But the fraud charges, Zara said, Marcus will have already filed. Let him, her father interrupted. Let him file every document, let the investigation begin, and when they come to arrest you, he pulled out his phone, showing her a contact. That's the number for Rebecca Washington. She's the best criminal defense attorney in the country. She's also on retainer for us. When they come for you, she'll have the real documents, the proof of forgery, the evidence that Marcus Chen committed fraud and then tried to frame his ex-wife. He'll go to prison, Zara said slowly. For a very long time, Xavier confirmed. Fraud, forgery, attempted obstruction of justice, conspiracy. We're building a case that will bury him. Zara should have felt triumphant. Instead, she felt hollow. I loved him. I really, genuinely loved him. Her father reached across and took her hand. I know, baby girl, and that's what makes their betrayal so unforgivable. You gave them your heart and they sold it for $1 million. His grip tightened. So now we take everything else. The next 2 weeks moved like a dream. Zara slept in her childhood bedroom, surrounded by memories of the girl she used to be. Strong, confident, unapologetically herself. That girl had gotten lost somewhere in Chens' world, but she was coming back. Xavier handled the legal maneuvering. Marcus had indeed filed the fraud charges, confident that his forged documents would seal Zara's fate. The SEC had opened an investigation. Arrest warrants were being prepared. In Marcus's mind, the trap was set. He had no idea he'd walked into one instead. Zara spent those 2 weeks transforming. Her natural hair, which she'd been straightening for 5 years, was cut and styled into elegant locks. Her wardrobe was rebuilt, not the conservative, muted colors Mrs. Chen preferred, but bold jewel tones that made her deep brown skin glow. She remembered how to stand tall, how to command a room, how to be the woman she was born to be. The night of the charity gala, Zara stood in front of her mirror and barely recognized herself. The sad, small woman who'd signed divorce papers was gone. In her place stood someone fierce, someone powerful, someone who'd learned that kindness without boundaries was just weakness. "Ready?" Xavier asked from the doorway. "Ready," Zara confirmed. They arrived fashionably late. The ballroom was already packed with the city's elite. Zara spotted Marcus immediately. He was holding court near the bar, Bianca draped on his arm like expensive jewelry. Mrs. Chen was nearby, laughing with her charity board friends. Christina was taking selfies near the champagne fountain. They hadn't seen her yet. "Ladies and gentlemen," the MC's voice boomed across the ballroom. "It is my distinct honor to introduce a very special guest this evening. After 5 years away from public life, she's chosen to return to us tonight. Please welcome back Zara Monroe, heiress to the Monroe global empire and daughter of James Monroe." Every head turned, the ballroom went silent, and Zara walked in. She moved slowly, deliberately, her cream silk gown flowing behind her like water. Diamonds glittered at her throat and wrists, family pieces worth more than the entire Chen estate. Her head was high, her smile serene. She looked like royalty. She looked like power. She looked like everything they'd tried to make her forget she was. Marcus's glass slipped from his hand, shattering on the marble floor. Bianca's mouth fell open. Mrs. Chen had gone pale as death, and Christina, poor, stupid Christina, actually gasped audibly. Zara walked directly past them without a glance, heading toward her father and brother, who stood with the governor and 2 senators. She kissed her father's cheek, shook hands with the governor, and engaged in light conversation as if she hadn't just detonated a bomb in the middle of the city's social elite. "That's Zara Monroe," she heard someone whisper. "I thought she disappeared years ago." "Wasn't she married to someone?" another voice asked. "Some businessman?" "Oh my God," a third voice breathed. "She was married to Marcus Chen. The announcement said he just divorced his wife to marry Bianca Morrison." There was a pause. "He divorced Zara Monroe. Is he insane?" The whispers spread like wildfire. Within minutes, everyone knew. Marcus Chen hadn't just divorced his wife. He'd divorced one of the richest women in the country. He'd humiliated the daughter of James Monroe. He'd thrown away a connection to one of the most powerful families in America. For Bianca Morrison, an influencer whose entire career was funded by Monroe companies. Zara watched it unfold from across the room, watched Marcus's face cycle through shock, disbelief, and dawning horror, watched Bianca's confidence crumble as people who'd been fawning over her moments ago suddenly found reasons to be elsewhere, watched Mrs. Chen try to approach, only to be subtly blocked by Xavier. "Zara," Marcus's voice came from behind her. She turned slowly, taking her time. He looked smaller somehow, diminished. I need to talk to you privately. I don't think we have anything to discuss, Mr. Chen. Don't do this. You lied to me. You never told me who you were. Zara's smile was ice. You never asked. You assumed I was nothing because I acted like your equal instead of your superior. You assumed I needed you because I loved you. The failure of imagination is yours, not mine. The charges, Marcus said desperately. The fraud investigation. You need to tell them the truth. You need to tell them who you are so they'll drop. Oh, they'll drop the charges against me, Zara interrupted. My attorney has already provided evidence that the signatures were forged, along with documentation of every illegal transaction you've made for the past 3 years. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. Did you really think you could frame me without me finding out? Did you think my family wouldn't notice? We've been watching you, Marcus, watching and documenting every crime. His face went gray. You can't prove. We can prove everything. The SEC has all of it now. By Monday morning, you'll be arrested. Your company will be dissolved. Your assets will be frozen. And you, she let the words hang, you'll be lucky if you only get 15 years. No, Marcus grabbed her arm. Security moved immediately, but Zara held up a hand, stopping them. She wanted this moment. Let me go, she said quietly. You don't touch me anymore. You gave up that right when you sold me for $1 million. He released her as if burned. I didn't know if I'd known who you were. That's the point, Zara said, and her voice carried enough volume that people nearby turned to listen. You didn't know, you didn't care. I was just Zara Chen to you, the housewife, the help, the woman who made herself small so you could feel big. She smiled, and it wasn't kind. But now you know the truth, and you realize too late that you didn't just lose a wife. You lost the one person who could have saved you from yourself. She turned away, leaving him standing there. Across the room, she saw Bianca trying to leave quietly, only to be intercepted by reporters. Someone had leaked that her sponsorships were being terminated, all of them, simultaneously. Mrs. Chen was in heated discussion with the charity board directors, her face flushed with embarrassment as they informed her that her positions were being reevaluated. Christina was frantically texting, probably discovering that her client contracts had been canceled. The Chen family's world was imploding in real time, and at the center of it all stood Zara Monroe, untouchable and magnificent. How does it feel? Xavier asked, appearing at her side. Empty, Zara admitted. I thought revenge would feel better. Give it time, her brother said. The satisfaction comes later, when they're broke, when he's in prison, when they realize the magnitude of what they lost. That's when you'll feel it. But Zara wasn't so sure, because the truth was she'd lost something too. 5 years of her life. 5 years she'd never get back. She'd learned that love could be weaponized, that kindness could be exploited, that being someone's everything meant nothing if they saw you as less than. I'm going home, she told Xavier. The party's just getting started. I know, but I'm done watching them destroy themselves. They're not worth any more of my time. As Zara walked toward the exit, she passed Bianca one final time. The influencer was crying, mascara running down her face, phone clutched in her shaking hand as she read termination notices from every brand she worked with. You did this, Bianca spat. You destroyed my career. Zara paused, considering her. No, I simply stopped funding it. Your career was always mine to give or take away. You just didn't know it. She leaned closer. Tell me, Bianca, was he worth it? Was sleeping with my husband, destroying my marriage, helping him frame me, was all of that worth losing everything? Bianca had no answer. Zara didn't wait for one. Outside, the night air was cool and clean. Zara stood on the steps of the hotel, looking out at the city lights. Somewhere in that building, Marcus was realizing he'd destroyed his life. His mother was losing her social standing. His sister was watching her business collapse. They were paying for their cruelty in the currency they understood best, money and status. But Zara felt no joy in it, just exhaustion. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Miss Monroe, this is Rebecca Washington. The SEC has formally dropped all charges against you. The case against Marcus Chen proceeds Monday morning. They found evidence of additional crimes beyond what was originally reported. He's looking at 25 years. 25 years. He'd be an old man when he got out, if he survived prison at all. Zara should have felt vindicated. Instead, she just felt tired. Another text, this one from Xavier. Nexus Corp just pulled their merger. Chen Tech stock crashed 80% in after-hours trading. The company's bankrupt. The house is being seized by creditors tomorrow. The Chens have nothing left. Nothing left, just like they'd tried to leave her with nothing. Excuse me, a voice interrupted her thoughts. Zara turned to find a young man in an elegant suit, holding 2 glasses of champagne. He was handsome in an understated way, with kind eyes and an easy smile. I couldn't help but notice you leaving early. Boring party. Something like that, Zara said carefully. After Marcus, trust didn't come easily. I'm Daniel Kim, he said, offering one of the glasses. I'm new to the city. Started a nonprofit that builds schools in underserved communities. Apparently your father is one of our donors. He laughed self-deprecatingly. I had no idea until tonight that Zara Monroe, the Zara Monroe, was his daughter. I've been emailing your family foundation for 6 months trying to get a meeting. Zara accepted the champagne, studying him. There was no calculation in his eyes, no hidden agenda that she could detect, just genuine nervousness and interest. Well, now you've met me. What did you want to discuss? Actually, Daniel admitted, I just wanted to tell you that I think what you're doing is incredible. Walking away from all of this, he gestured at the hotel, the wealth, the excess. To live your own life on your own terms, that takes real courage. And now you're back, but you're back on your own terms again. That's, I don't know, inspiring, I guess. For the first time all night, Zara smiled genuinely. You really don't know who I was married to, do you? Should I? Daniel asked, confused. No, Zara said and meant it. You really shouldn't. Tell me about your nonprofit instead. They talked for an hour. Daniel was passionate about education reform, about giving kids opportunities they wouldn't otherwise have. He didn't ask about her divorce or her family's money. He didn't try to impress her. He just talked to her like she was a person, not a chess piece or a trophy or a means to an end. When her car arrived, Daniel walked her to it. Could I maybe call you sometime? I'd love to show you one of our school sites, get your input on the programs. I'd like that, Zara said, and she meant it. As the car pulled away, she looked back one final time at the hotel. Through the windows, she could see the party continuing without her. Marcus was probably still inside, watching his life end. Mrs. Chen was probably desperately trying to salvage her reputation. Bianca was probably still crying over her lost sponsorships. But Zara was driving away, moving forward, leaving them all behind. Her phone buzzed one more time. A text from her father, proud of you, baby girl, come home when you're ready, we'll be waiting. Zara smiled, tears finally falling, but these tears were different. They weren't tears of humiliation or heartbreak. They were tears of relief, of closure, of freedom. She'd given Marcus 5 years of devotion and sacrifice. She'd made herself small so he could feel large. She'd swallowed her pride, her power, her very identity for a love that was never real. But now she remembered who she was. Zara Monroe, not Zara Chen, not anyone's housewife or scapegoat or doormat. Just Zara, and that was more than enough. 3 months later, Marcus Chen was sentenced to 23 years in federal prison. Bianca Morrison filed for bankruptcy and moved back in with her parents. Mrs. Chen's charity positions were permanently revoked. Christina's PR firm dissolved. The Chen family name, once synonymous with success, became a cautionary tale about hubris and cruelty. And Zara took over the nonprofit division of Monroe Global. She dated Daniel Kim, slowly learning to trust again. She wore her natural hair and her bold colors and her family name with pride. She used her fortune to help others who'd been trapped and betrayed like she was. She never forgot what Marcus taught her, that love without respect is worthless, that sacrifice should never be one-sided, that making yourself small never makes the other person bigger, it just makes you disappear. But most importantly, she learned that her value didn't come from being someone's wife or someone's victim. It came from being herself, completely, unapologetically, powerfully. Marcus had sold her for $1 million, but in doing so, he'd given her something priceless, the gift of knowing her own worth. And that was a gift no amount of money could buy. If this story hit you in your soul, don't forget to subscribe for more revenge stories that'll make you feel something real. Drop a comment below. Would you have forgiven Marcus or destroyed him like Zara did? And hit that like button if you believe karma is real. Because sometimes, just sometimes, the doormats rise up and become dynasties.